Hi, John. Good to see you again.
And yourself?
So, as we discussed before we come on camera, we want to really try and help businesses in the East Midlands with these videos that we're doing. And today, I think we're on a topic that will actually really benefit a lot of the local businesses, and we're going to discuss networking in the local area. We're going to talk about some particular networking events that are regularly held that both you and I have attended and benefited from. So yeah, I think it'll be hopefully something that can benefit a lot of people. So we're going straight in, shall we?
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
I think let's start with BNI.
Yeah,
Because that is a world famous organisation.
that's the elephant in the room, isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. So
Were you a member?
I actually was a member of the local BNI chapter for 2 years.
Yeah.
In Peterborough. It's actually probably one of the more successful chapters, I would say. I think there's between 50 and 60 members. You do have to pay to become a member. So there's an annual membership, 50, 60 people in the room that are obligated, I guess you could say politely, to be there every week. But that is good. People are going to be there. People are actually monitored on their performance.
Yeah.
So they must refer a certain amount of work to the organisations there again. So that can be a really strong thing.
There's the traffic light system, isn't there?
Yeah. So people, they have to attend, they have to refer. And because of that, it is a powerful organisation, I would say.
I found it worked. Don't be wrong. It's a very formalized structure compared to some, and we'll come on to some very informal ones.
Yeah.
But giving it that structure makes it far more results driven.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to go into it expecting to put in the work to networking.
Completely.
And if you're new to networking in entirety, it might be too much.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to scale, it can work quite nicely.
Definitely, I would agree. I would say, it's not for everyone.
No.
But if you are very committed to networking being a route to generate new inquiries for you, BNI is a great option. The other thing I would say, although they have all these expectations of you, they do give a lot of training.
Yeah,
so actually for a new person, new in business, new in networking, whatever their circumstances, BNI, you can get a lot of value if you really take on board the full offering of the training as well. And I did it for 2 years in Peterborough, and I've actually still got relationships and friendships with some people I met then, and I would recommend it to the majority of people.
I did the same. Did it for I think 2 or 3 years in Stamford, and we had another person in the chapter up to Spalding at the same time.
Right.
So learn the secret handshakes, learn all of the code and phrase words. Definitely part of what I call the BNI code.
Yeah.
So I say that in a positive way.
Yeah.
But it worked really well for us. It is a big commitment. And I found I did have to set in some time to pass referrals, which is great. I mean, if you're a natural referral passer, I generally tout other people's businesses for us. So it's a really good fit. But there are people who go into it perhaps expecting to be given business without giving first.
Yeah.
And the BNI motto, as we both know, is the giver's gain thing, right? So if you're naturally one of those people, it is a perfect fit.
I agree. And I think, if you're coming from a mindset of how can I help other people, you'll win in all networking, potentially, won't you?
I'd agree.
And I still, funnily enough, I still refer to some people in that BNI group and give them work, and I still get referrals back. So I think, like I say, the elephant in the room, I think they're the most known globally. So people do have a perception, of it. But no, I would highly recommend it. I think it's great.
No,
I think it's great.
It's definitely the most intense in terms of financial investment, time investment, all of it. However, you get the same reward back.
Potentially the best rewards. And let's hope you like early mornings.
Yeah, that's true. Well, ours was in the evening, which was even more tiring.
Really?
I've done both, and it can drift into a too much consistency thing. But you've got to accept it. It's just a business task. It's what we do. We've got to go there. I'm building my network and commit to it.
Absolutely. So the next one I wanted to chat with you about really was Rutland Chamber of Commerce. I think we're both members, aren't we? And I think Rutland is quite a unique place, really. Obviously, it's the smallest county in the country.
Yeah.
It's quite an affluent area generally.
Mildly, yeah.
Yeah, there's an aging population on the whole, but there's some very driven, younger, potentially business people there. I think it's very rural, so a lot of there's quite a lot of places spread out. Obviously, there's the two market towns, Oakham and Uppingham, but a lot of really fantastic venues as well for networking.
Yeah.
And I think the chamber has kind of grown in the last 18 months.
I'd say there's been a big push, isn't there?
Yeah, and I find that they're quite easy to deal with. I find that the people who run the chamber are very nice. I'd say they're proactive.
Yeah.
So I would say very positive. We can delve into some of the specifics a little bit more, but what's your experience with the Rutland Chamber?
I've enjoyed it. I think that it's definitely, I would say, a more grown-up business setting, which is to say that there are some networking events which I think work really well for sole trader, startup, get out there, very informal sort of meet and greets. I found that chamber is probably, and it could just be my own perception, but perhaps a more established route. So you end up potentially with some larger businesses in the room. It tends to be focused in the broader stuff, perhaps on a more of a political impact, more on a positive change thing. It's still networking. You're still meeting the right people. You're still going through the motions, the good motions. But it definitely feels
to agree with a lot of what you say there, in that I think there's some very experienced business people in that group. And I think that it can be a massive advantage for a newer business to come and join it. So maybe they, maybe that's a real reason they should go. I know that there's people that, perhaps had several careers, in the room there. And I think the other thing I like about the Rutland Chamber is the variety of events that they do. So some are morning, some are evening. They tend to change the venues around quite frequently
as well.
Yeah. That you get to see a lot of the places, different places in Rutland because they're moving it around. You generally get a different group of people quite consistently. We even hosted a chamber event in our office, and that was great. And I think they're quite willing to be proactive to help you. If you are a member and you've got an idea, generally they'll listen. And I'll encourage people definitely.
That's a good point for networking, because I think if you've never done networking, you think that your job to do networking is to go into a room, yell about what you do, and win loads of business.
Yeah.
And I think it's far more nuanced than that. I think it is building relationships, but you can also go there and say, I'm not looking for customers because what I'm here today is to try and solve a problem.
Yeah.
To ask for help or to try and find someone who might help me in the future.
Yeah.
And taking that broader approach can actually help you be an all-natural networker anyway.
Definitely. And the other thing is, well, actually, some of the events you can go as a non-member.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you are on a tighter budget, perhaps you're just starting off, perhaps you're even just doing some market research before you begin your business, you can go to some of these events as a non-member and trial it.
You should, if you're getting into it, I think you should try attending everything once.
Yeah.
Most networking events will offer it as a guest. Even going back to BNI, you can go as a guest.
Yeah.
And I think it's important you get a flavour for it and just say, did I feel comfortable in the room? Is this too much for me? Are the right people in the room for me? These things do matter when you're trying to pick where you spend your time. We can't all attend 2 dozen networking events a week, so try it all.
And then going on to the next one, really, the Rutland Chamber of Commerce sponsor the Rutland Business Network, as we know, which is also sponsored and hosted by Hegarty Solicitors, who are a local firm, several branches in the area, great reputation, really nice people. So they have the Rutland Business Network, which are probably, by my estimation, is probably the biggest attendance number for a single event in Rutland. And it's held at Rutland Hall, which is a lovely location. There's a nice big room. Funny enough, I actually attended it earlier this week, and I know that there was 53 people there, and there was a huge variety of businesses. The guest speaker this week probably wasn't great.
It's not what I heard.
It was me. So we'll gloss over that. But no, I think the Rutland Business Network is a brilliant event. What's your experience of that?
I've done it a few times. I struggle with some later evening ones,
Right?
Young kids. So actually, it's work-life balance stuff.
Good point.
It's where I'd rather be. Early mornings are a better fit, but I think one of our sales team attends. I really enjoyed it. I thought the food was good, and that actually matters. The evening thing.
I agree.
It felt structured but relaxed, which is hard to describe to someone who hasn't done a lot of networking. Sometimes having a structure lends itself a lot. So especially if you put 50 business people in a room and they talk amongst yourselves, that can be a recipe for disaster. So giving them something to work within works nicely, but also everyone was there in a positive way. They weren't there touting too aggressively when I went. No, it was good actually. I really enjoyed it. And it was nice. I forget sometimes how many people we know in the area.
Yeah.
So actually going there and bumping into perhaps clients or contacts you've had from a few years ago that have come along, it's quite a nice experience to see in a different setting.
One of the things I'd say about all networking events, but Rutland Business Network, I think the person that runs it and leads it can often set the tone for the whole atmosphere and environment in there. And I think Tony from Hegarty's, who runs it, who's, we're all friends with him. He really sets the tone for that event. So what you just described, I think is very true. And I think it is relaxed and comfortable, but it's still, your people there are achieving something. It's effective. I think it's great. I think people in that room, considering there's 50 odd of them regularly, are really open.
It's a nice first one to attend, I think, because I don't think you'd be thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
I think when I went, there was a big round robin of, stand up and introduce yourself. Everyone therefore is having a bit of a laugh with it. They know what it's like. We've all had to stand up and pitch into a room before. It's not as daunting as it sounds. Everyone's in the same boat. But even as you sit around the table for food and start chatting, it feels more organic. Yeah. It feels more relaxed than some of the other ones we've done.
Definitely. So we'd give that big thumbs up.
I would really like to go that one.
Yeah. And then another one to discuss is run by a local lady, again, very well connected. The In the Hive.
Debbie's. I really enjoyed In the Hive.
Yeah, tell us a bit about when you've been there and what you got from it.
Yeah, so that was I went because it was in Stamford for the one I went to. Debbie ran it, and it was a lovely group, a really relaxed, informal walk around. Who's got what problems? How can we help? Talk about your business. And you talk about Tony hosting the RP and the energy he brings to it. I would say Debbie's created such a warm, fun environment.
I agree.
Because she is a really bubbly, fun person. And that comes across in the way that everyone then talks at the table. I can't remember the last time I giggled. Not laughed, giggled like a schoolgirl at a networking event. And I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think Debbie's great. She's really well connected, but she makes people feel so welcome. And I think that, again, all these events, the person running it can often dictate the tone of the event, but she makes everybody so welcome. It's a great one.
What I also really liked about it, which is sadly unusual to networking events, was the gender split was really good.
Right, yeah.
And I loved having an environment where it felt so warm and welcoming, and that there were enough diverse people in the room. Yeah. You go to a traditional networking event, and let's be fair, it might be 30 blokes in one room. Yeah. So it was really nice to see an environment which is so well balanced. And I really think,
and they actually do a women's only group as well. So
which is great.
I think for some of the ladies, that's great. They can go and do that, and it's great that exists. And then, like you said, the other group, there's a really good split. So perfect. And the other thing I think that particularly stood out for me when I've attended it, because it was people were so comfortable, relaxed, like you said. They literally do a session where they say who's facing a problem in their business or a challenge, and people are really confident to put their hand up and say, well, I am actually. Yes. And then the support they get and the feedback they get and the answers, I think that's something really unique.
It is. And it's lonely running a business to some degree, especially if you're just starting out. Chances are a lot of your peer group or your contacts that you have aren't in the same position. So when you are facing all the challenges that come with it, especially in the early years, you need to be able to talk to someone and ask for help.
Great.
Having an environment which is so relaxed to do so and encouraged, I think is really nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And I think the other sort of last thing to say on that one, the variety of venues that they use, because they have quite, they're very consistent.
Yeah.
They have, set days, set regularity, but the variety within the venues is quite nice as well. They do one in a windmill, don't they?
Yeah,
And,
I think I did one at the London Inn.
yeah,
But it is, go for one. I would say for that one especially, because it's
Yeah.
such a relaxed environment, it's a really easy drop in.
yeah.
Definitely attempt.
And then I did say one last thing, but there's actually one more thing.
Yeah.
I just thought of. They run the big business event locally,
They do, don't they? Yeah.
and we probably should mention that because that's very, very powerful for businesses. I think really
Yeah.
well attended. It's quite reasonably priced, I think, and an opportunity to exhibit yourselves in front of local businesses again.
There certainly aren't enough big business events in the region. I think knowing when they're coming up is in itself a challenge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think probably one for another conversation. I'm going
Yeah.
to make a little note of that.
Yeah.
But no, I think, worth noting that Debbie's.
No, it's good. And then which others have you attended you found beneficial?
Okay, quite a few. So one of the ones I think I've enjoyed, which surprised me the most, was Emily Potter's networking.
Right, yeah.
I really enjoyed the different environment. A lot of networking is you come to a room, you all sit down, you all queue up to get a coffee and a pastry. You bump into people, you say, who are you from? Oh, that's really interesting. You do the networking.
Yeah.
This one, she had question prompts to go around. So as you're walking, she's like, okay, let's all change cards, and you change. And they're insightful questions.
Yeah.
They're not, how did you get started in business? They're off the wall things that you wouldn't normally ask. It's a really good prompt.
Yeah.
But also being able to move while you're talking is a really natural thing anyway. So that was really difficult.
I think, as we were saying, Rutland's such a great place for that.
Yeah.
The environment we're in, it's good that it's being utilised for business, but also for a leisurely walk, which is great. And I actually attended one of them myself. I loved it. I took the dog, which is always a conversation
That's
starter. So, I really enjoyed it. And again, I think, the host dictates the tone for these things, as I said. And Emily's great. She, I think, again, really welcoming. If you've not been before, if you're not familiar with people, then they'll make you really at home.
It's definitely on the relaxed side of it. But again, it's relaxed and structured. So you're not going to feel lost. You're still active, so you're moving.
You might literally get lost.
Yeah, you might get lost. I think we did. But no, it's good. And we live in such an area of the natural outstanding beauty. So being able to explore that. I mean, it was areas I've never been to. I've been in Rutland for more years than I wish to date myself with. But being able to explore them perhaps in more of a business setting and feeling as I'm still being productive while getting out, stretching the legs and being that was really good.
No, it's good. It's good. And which other ones stand out?
People Planet Pint is one that's worth mentioning. It's very net zero focused.
Yeah.
So that's run in Oakham with Joe and Pippa Gill.
Right. Yeah.
It's all over the country.
Yeah.
And it's a nice one if you are minded towards those things. It's again very relaxed, and I know it's relaxed because you get a beer when you turn up.
Brilliant.
Or a drink.
That is a brilliant.
It's a good one to attend. Worth doing. It's another of those ones where actually everyone could take small steps to contribute. It's definitely worth running through and having a look. So that's one to sort of learn into your diary. There is Rupert and Angelo do their meetings in the Wisteria. Fridays once a month. I can't remember what their one's called.
It escapes me now.
Yeah,
again,
you may find it.
They're very active networkers, Rupert and Angela, aren't they? So they got a really strong connections with a lot of business people. And I have attended it at the Wisteria, and
15 or 20 in the room consistently.
Great place, a lot of history in that building. And again, when I attended it, I found people are so open. Yeah, the general atmosphere in the room is about giving, I spoke, and being open, assisting business people. And definitely, really good one.
Another one to mention, and let me put you in a spotlight. Of course, Lunch and Learns the pattern to run quite regularly. Romy raves about them. She attends almost everyone she can. I know a lot of other people do. Tell us about Lunch.
Yeah, so we run a networking event in Stamford at the Pattern Co pub, as you mentioned, which is right in the heart of the town. Fantastic food. And what we try and do at that event, really to make it a bit different, is there's obviously an educational element to it, but we try and make it very practical tips and elements that people can pick up and use in their business the next day without charge, so that they can really improve what they're doing. And that's what I think people like. And again, obviously I'm a bit biased, but I think great group. Yeah, we always have about 22, 23 people, and that's actually the maximum capacity for the room. And we sell it out. We don't make any money from it. It's not a profit thing for us, but it's keeping us in the center of the community, meeting people. We have a good turnover of people, so there's regularly different people there. And I'm biased, but I think people tell me they love it.
Well, they keep going. So it must be doing something.
Exactly.
Could be that it's in a good pub, but I think it's a good topic.
Yeah. Although no one has a pint at
that they can't do it at lunchtime.
It's kind of not really the etiquette.
There's lunch and learn. I think the evening one needs to be think and drink.
Yeah.
That's the alternative.
There we go. We should go. We'll trade up.
Do that next. What about tips for networking? So if someone was going cold, what would you give them as things to prepare beforehand? Let's start with that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually do a lot of networking now. Yeah. And years ago, I never, I hated it.
Yeah.
And I never used to attend regularly. And I used to find it quite unnerving. And now I do a lot of it. I feel like I've got really good connections in the area. So in terms of tips, I think you just got to throw yourself into it. And I think if you go into it without pressure on yourself and no expectations on, I must go and get 2 customers soon, because that's not going to work. But if you go, with an open mind and you're willing to talk to people and really just look at the connections side that you can make, I think you'll succeed.
What about preparing a pitch or anything like that? Do you do it? Do you think it's unwise?
Well, this is another thing actually that makes it a bit easier. I think you should prepare a pitch, and I think you should get a really succinct 2 lines about who you are and what you do. But then, do you know what? I use the same one every single time.
What is it? Go on.
Put me on the spot now. So I literally say, I'm Adam from Actual Internet Marketing. I say we're a multi-channel digital marketing agency. And I say we create thousands of leads for hundreds of businesses. Yeah. And I think people probably get bored of it, but they expect me to say that. They know exactly what we do. And, let's be honest, there are some people that do ramble.
Yeah.
And I think getting it out, being clear, straight to the point, and then I just use the same.
It gives you something to come back to as well. If you are having to pitch or you are at all uncomfortable, saying, actually, here's my 30-second elevator pitch, and I've got it down pat, and I can do it consistently. That is useful. It's useful to fall back on.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to some of these ones where perhaps it isn't a round table, stand up and talk. You need to work the room, meet a lot of different folks. Being able to say, it's so and so, it's X from Y, we do ABC.
Exactly.
What do you do?
And do you know what? You want people to be left inquisitive.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to tell them every single thing you do. You want them to be, if they've got a need for that service, you want them to be keen to find out more.
Yeah. So do you do, because this is one of those classic sales, do you focus on the results and the solution, or do you focus on the service when you're talking about what you do? And that is to say, do you say, we do SEO for clients, or do you say, we help you grow your business?
So it's the second.
Yeah.
We generate thousands of leads.
Yeah.
So I focus on what is the outcome.
Yeah.
Rather than the technical side. Yeah. That could put quite a lot of people to sleep.
Certainly what we've had. We're not saying, I can't stand up and go, we do hardware and software and services.
Yeah.
Everyone's switched off. They know what we are. I can say it to IT, they know. Although I generally say I'm John, I'm a nerd, and then stop talking.
Yeah.
Because people know what it stands for anyway. But I do think you need to focus on the outcomes if you're going to do it, rather than the thing.
What other tips have you got for people networking? What do you think's important?
Ask for help is always my key one. It's a really good way to engage the conversation and share problems you're facing. I think no one is naive enough to think that everything's hunky-dory all the time.
Yeah,
it's really a great way to bond with someone is to say, look, I appreciate we're not going to do this together. You don't have to say that, but I'm struggling with this. Can you give me any tips?
Yeah.
Or actually, we're just about to start. We're going through an acquisition. We're going to be doing this. I'm going to hire someone. What would you do?
I agree.
It's a great way to bond.
I think the more open you are, then the more real relationships you're going to develop.
Be authentic as well. So, you don't have to be a highly charismatic extrovert.
No,
You don't have to go in there as the life and soul and be full of giggles. It's just not, if that's not you, don't do it.
Yeah.
But you can still add a lot of value to people, mostly by asking questions.
Absolutely.
The classic 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Yeah.
These things all add up
Yeah.
to being someone that people want to engage with.
Yeah. And we both of us actually originally met at Network Events, didn't we? So
we're either doing it very well.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good. You've got to get yourself out there. You've got to find what works for you, not just in terms of commitment, but your own schedule. You've got to be really comfortable committing to something.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it consistently, it's almost not worth doing it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Great. No one builds a network by meeting someone once and never seeing them for 2 years.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
No, completely. And yeah, on that note, hopefully it's been useful for everybody. And appreciate people's time listening to us.
Yourself. I'll speak to you soon.